Hey folks, welcome back. So today I kind of have a slightly serious topic I want to talk about. And it's one that almost all hobbyists in all of our groups, we all come across, and it's kind of the daily norm. But a lot of times like in Facebook groups and things like that, we do like buying and selling models, and whether it's through eBay, or Facebook groups, or Reddit, or what's the old one, Bartertown, different sites like that. We as hobbyists, we're generally looking for like the best prices, whether it's some people, trying to sell to retail or below retail, or even like myself as a commission painter. I try to do like eBay rescue models, turn around, paint them up, and try to sell them. Generally, because I'm a painter first and foremost, I don't necessarily try to make a profit off it. I do it for fun. But when I do sell models like on commissions and things like that, I do try to make some money, a little bit off of it to make it worth my while. I think that's fair, especially with the amount of time, resources, and everything that just goes into this hobby, and all the supplies. I mean, as you can see, all the different paints that I have set up, that stuff isn't cheap. So but I'm gonna talk about that a little later on. But for this video, I want to talk about two very important things. One is buyer protection when you're buying models, or really anything, and selling as well. Also, how to properly pack and send models so that way things don't break, and lower customer satisfaction. Also, let's say if you're just doing a trade, a straight trade, you want to make sure that the models that you send are being sent in good condition, and that they're going to get it, that they're not going to be dissatisfied with what happens, when they open the box and models are broken. Metal models, plastic models, things are snapped off, even if they're not pinned or something like that. And it can really be kind of a stressful, if not frustrating, scenario. So, for example, I'm not going to give names because of privacy issues, but yesterday I was waiting for almost like 2 weeks, thereabout, close to, for a box to become sent via media mail. By the way, don't really send stuff media mail. I mean, unless it's an actual book or actual media. One, it's just kind of, it's cheap. Yeah, it's the cheapest you can do kind of thing. But when I send models out, whether it's through people buying models from me or whether it's a trade, I always try to do like 2 to 3 day priority mail. And I think that's what most people kind of like come to do. So when you send stuff media mail and it's not media, it's just kind of a kick in the pants. It's like, really? Seriously? But enough about that. So the other day I had bought a listing of models off of one of the groups, and what was listed and pictured, here's the key point, what was pictured and what was listed is not what showed up. Now, the box that showed up was very small. Okay, I'm talking like this big, and the amount of stuff that was supposed to go in there was like this much. Okay, the weight on the tag did not match what the box was. Okay, it was very clear evidence that somebody had essentially waited at home, made the label at home, and then switched it out and sent it. Now, I'm all for coming to reasonable conclusions, or having a moderator or some type of negotiation, like to make sure things are kosher either way, right? But there are certain things, like when it's very blatant that you're kind of getting scammed on something, it's not cool. It really isn't, so in that cases, buyer protection comes into handy. Now, if you're like me, on buying and selling online and like PayPal and things like that, always select the services, not friends and family, unless they are actually like your dad, mom, or like your best friend. Like, you know, if you are doing some type of selling service, you don't know the person, always do it, because then PayPal will have your back. So currently, this issue has gone to claims. Being reasonable with one another, and not all of a sudden ghosting somebody is also kind of a foobar kind of thing to do. So that's another don't. Just don't do that. It just really sucks. It sucks for you, sucks for me, sucks for everybody. You know? I like to, especially being like, you know, commissioned studio and stuff like that, I try to keep things professional, and you know, keep your expectations high, and you kind of expect that out of somebody else, you know. So one of the things I'm going to show you, and this kind of goes side on side with the 100 subscriber winner of the Troll Bloods that I got, going out to John Redmaster from one of the War Machine horror groups. I'm going to show you guys how to properly pack a box, so that way there won't be any issues. Okay. Now, for this one, I'm actually going to show you guys. I have a pretty nifty size little box here. All right. One of the main things you want to keep in mind when you're doing this is making sure that there's not enough room inside the box for things to really move around, because movement, boxes, and minis, they don't mix, right? So I kind of came up with a little thing. So because the starter boxes typically come with one of these, and this just so happens to fit this perfectly. Like, couldn't get any better than that, right? So if you have a Walmart or something like that nearby, I highly recommend get a roll of bubble wrap. Now, bubble wrap, this cost me like maybe $4. Okay, a lot of times, you know, Amazon purchases and things like that usually will come with, like, this was from my old hard drive, the thing I just bought. Super like durable air pocket thing. That can be very useful, right? You really want to focus on lack of movements as well as cushion. You know, just because things are stuffed into a box, they're stuffed so much that they can't move, doesn't necessarily mean things aren't going to break. Okay. Case in point, the box I got had almost no packing stuff in it. There's metal models, things are snapped off of the ankles, yada yada yada, right? So make sure you give yourself enough per model, right? The way I like to do this is like a burrito. Okay, literally just take it and you just start rolling it like so. All right, I did a little fold just like that. Get some tape. In this case, I use a little bit of duct tape. It works. You can use packing tape too. That also works. Just really anything that's sticky, you know. You want to make sure that this is tape closed. Again, with the movements and the boxes and all that stuff, you want to make sure that nothing gets unraveled and all of a sudden pieces start moving around, stuff like that. So back to the topic on commissions. Something I've noticed. I've been doing commissions for about 10 years now. I've just now started really kind of putting out there, like, for my YouTube channel and stuff like that. Though with my YouTube channel, I'm not trying to focus on commissions. It's more of a side thing, a side hustle, right? When you need to get some extra money, you know. So I'm sure most of you guys are like me, you know, work full-time jobs, you got a family, wife, kid, you know, and you know that hobby money that comes in is pretty limited. Doing outside jobs, right? Side jobs, something that you do. If you do something good, don't do it for free. Simple as that, right? So with that said, though, something I've noticed and I've had to learn and kind of bite the hard bullet a couple times is a lot of times with commission artists, especially starting out, we tend to undercharge, right? We usually try to do that because we're kind of desperate for that money, for that funding, that, you know, we'll spend 40 hours on a set of models, whatever, end up only charging like $50 for said models for like basic tabletop, right? You're really kind of doing a disservice for yourself by doing that. I mean, once you've invested in yourself and you have some skills and you're confident in what you're doing, by putting yourself out there, and you know, you gotta realize how much is your time worth, right? So when it comes down to it, are you willing to work, you know, 40, 50 hours for $50? That's essentially $1 an hour, you know? So there's two schools of thought here. You know, you get the people who refuse to pay anything below, you know, like 50% below retail, you know, for painted models. And I mean, if it's a eBay professional, you know, paint job, understandable, right? But if it's an actual, like, legit, like, studio or commission painter who has, you know, posted works of art, who really do spend the time and stuff like that, make it worth the person's while, you know? It just, nothing kills motivation like getting I don't want to say cheaped on, but yeah, you know. So if the asking price for, like, for me, you know, I try to ask a moderate amount, not like an exorbitant amount, because I'm not like Golden Demon or anything like that. But I mean, generally, if I'm doing like a 10-man squad of like Space Marines kind of thing, a tabletop standard, I'm probably looking at about, if I'm not buying the models, probably about $80 for that, right? Now, to some of you, that may seem kind of high, but really, when it comes down to it, it's price per model, right? I'm doing about $8 per model, and there's 10 guys. There you go, $80. So that's how I kind of base things off of. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. Box, right? So you notice how everything's all taped up, bundled up. Nothing's moving around, right? Cool. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another thing of air plastic, put it right on top. Look at that. It fits absolutely perfectly, right? Tape this up. I actually like using white duct tape because it just makes things a little bit easier, especially if you need to write, like whether you have a Sharpie or something like that. It actually helps. One of the things too you can do, and I've done this a few times, is you take a piece of paper, all right, like notebook paper, and write out your address, write out the buyer's address and all that stuff, right? And then take some clear packing tape and then tape it into place where it can be clearly marked and clearly seen for all parties, whether it's UPS, FedEx, USPS, all the out above, right? And yeah, sorry, got a little bit of taping going on here. There we go, and this is finished. Now check this out. I can literally do this all day and not a single thing can be heard. Like, there's no movement whatsoever. I'm pretty sure I can throw this against the wall, which I won't, but I'm pretty sure I can throw this against the wall and nothing will be broken inside because of the amount of bubble wrap, as well as the air pockets and the fact that there's no movement and things like that going on. Oh, look at that. I still got on the back side, real easy fix, more duct tape. So, like I said, guys, I just wanted to kind of bring this up and kind of put that out there, you know? Because again, when it comes down to like eBay buying or eBay selling, and you know, or in the groups and stuff like that, when it really comes down to it, customer satisfaction is number one. You know, you got to make sure that the person who's buying the models is happy. You know, it's kind of like the do unto others as you want them to do unto you. You know, if you want to make sure that your models that you get sent to you are in good condition and they're safe, do the same. All right, guys? All right. Have fun. Be safe. Catch you guys next time.